Hey, this is Paul Yip. I'm going to show you how I like to use Data Studio with Big SQL. Now, Data Studio is an independently developed tool at IBM that is free of charge, but it hasn't really kept up with the rate of innovation in Big SQL. So I'm going to show you a couple of tweaks that I use to get the best possible experience in working in this environment. Now, I've got Data Studio loaded here, and I'm using 4.1.0.2. And just to make sure we're all looking at the same thing, if you go to Open Perspective and go to Other, let's choose IBM SQL and Routine Development. That will get you to this perspective. At this point, we'll create a connection. So under this Data Source Explorer, we can say New Connection, and you'll see that we can support many different types of databases. Let's just start with Big SQL here, which is most natural to me, and we're going to specify parameters. So the database name is going to be Big SQL. The host is going to be an IP address or host name. In my case, this is my environment. Now the default port, we used to use 51,000, but the new default since version 4.0 has been 32051. And I can put in my password if I like, and optionally save the password. I'll test this connection. If that works, I'll click finish. And now I've got my connection. You'll see that once I have my connection, I can actually drill down and look at the schemas. I've got some tables already created in here under the Big SQL schema. And you can see that there's actually native table support as well as Hadoop table support. And so inside here, I could take one of these tables, for example, and see the structure, see the columns, or right click and actually say generate DDL. And I like this feature because sometimes I want to know what the partitioning strategy is for this table when I'm performance tuning. And so I can see when I do generate DDL, I'll see create external Hadoop table, for example, see the data types, the row format, storage format, and HDFS details. Once I've got my first connection, I can click to create a project. And you can give this project a name. And we'll choose the database connection that we had just set up. From here, I'll have some folders and I'll have nothing in here, but I can create a script to start my data development project. And I like to use multiple scripts to organize my thoughts. When you're in a script, I'll show you a couple of things here. If I want to create an H-based table, for example, which is really Hadoop specific, Data Studio doesn't yet recognize the syntax. And you can see that there's a red X here indicating a syntax issue. And this can be annoying because it's a false positive. So what I like to do is just turn this feature off by going to Preferences. There are many preferences here. So what I'll just do is search on Annotations. And under Annotations, you'll see different things. I'll choose Errors, and I'll just turn off the first and third option and hit OK. And now you can see that false positive is gone. The next thing I'll do is run a query and look at some result sets. Now, the first time you paste something into the script, it'll ask you what statement terminator to use. By default, it's semicolon. That's usually fine. You might use a different terminator if you're doing stored procedure development, which is beyond what I'm going to cover today. But here is my statement, and I can click Run. And you'll see that this was successful. And if I actually look at the Results tab here, I can see my rows. If I double click on the Results tab, I get a bigger picture of this view. Now what you'll notice is that it says total 500 records shown. And I get a lot of questions around how can I increase that? What's happening is Data Studio is actually limiting how many rows coming back to protect you from bringing back 1 billion rows, for example, into the tool. If you need to modify this limit, what you can do is go to Window, Preferences, and search on SQL Results. And you'll see this SQL Result View options. And from here, you can change the number of rows returned. And if I try this again, what I'll do is just put a limit here to just show I can get one more row than 500. and I've got my results. 501 records shown. The next thing I'll show you is how can I do explains. Now this is a query with a predicate that's filtering the results by a timestamp range. Now it turns out that I have a version of the facts table here that is actually optimized, and I want to see that the partitioning strategy is being used. I might want to explain this query. If I highlight this query and I hit this Open Visual Explain, it's going to come back with an error that this version of Big SQL isn't yet supported. Now there's actually a workaround for this. We can use a different driver to get this working. And I expect this will be fixed in a future version of Data Studio, but this is what's working right now. What we'll do is go to Database Connections, hit New, and instead of choosing the Big SQL driver, we're going to choose the DB2 driver for Linux, Unix, and Windows. From here, I'll enter the same information. I'll enter the host information, and I'll specify port number, which is 32051. I'll put in my credentials as before. But I'll do one more thing, and that is I'll change the connection name from the default naming convention to specify -db2. In this way, I'll know that I'm using a Big SQL connection using the db2 driver. Now before I can run explains, there's one more thing I need to do, and that is I need to create the explain tables. To do that, I'll type call sysproc.sysinstall objects. I want the explain objects. I want to create them. And there's two more parameters that require to be specified, so I'll put null for that. Notice that I've highlighted just the one line, although I've got two different commands here, and I'll hit execute. It will only execute this line. And you can see that after a few seconds, it will be created. From here, now I can try to explain this. Actually, I forgot one thing. I created my new connection, but I'm not using it yet. You can see here I'm still using the Big SQL for Big Insights connection. To change this, I'll go to Configuration, I'll choose Select, I'll actually switch my connection of my current scripting environment to the db2 driver, and go back to the editor and try this again. And now you can see that I've got my explain plan. If I click on operations like Hadoop scan, for example, I can look at the predicates that are being used, and you can see that we're optimizing properly. And you can see my other video on time series analytics for Big SQL to understand what's happening here. If I double click the access plan again, this tab, I'll return to my screen. Now there's actually one more reason why I like using the db2 connection. Check this out. When I type in this script, which I'm still using the Big SQL connection, if I type something wrong, a table that does not exist, and I run this SQL statement, you'll see that I get a cryptic error code, and I can't really make out what's wrong. But if I do the same SQL statement from script 1, where I am using a db2 connection, you'll see that I get a much friendlier error message where it says the table ASDLKJF is an undefined name. Same error code, but I just get this nice friendlier message. Now note that even though I have a db2 connection and I'm going to do most of my work in that connection, there's a reason why I keep the Big Insights connection lying around, because this connection is only aware of db2 style objects. So if I were to attempt the generate DDL again from here, for example, I can still see the table, but I can't tell that it's a Hadoop table. And if I were to look at the order facts table again and perform generate DDL, you'll notice that it's missing the Hadoop table definition as well as all the Hadoop specific parameters. So that's why I'm going to keep the Big SQL for Big Insights database connection profile available. So that is pretty much what I do to set up my Data Studio environment for Big SQL. I find this helps me a lot to be much more productive on the environment. I hope it helps you. Thanks for watching. Hey, I'm Paul Yip. I've been doing these videos now for over a year, and I didn't know that I would just keep going like this. But I'm having a lot of fun learning about big data and analytics, and it's a journey for me, just like it is for many of you. This is a big space, complex topic, lots of areas of interest, so I hope you'll take this journey with me. Please subscribe. Thanks.